This is the Superlink. Superlinks are one of the most powerful pieces of the Infinity Tool ecosystem, but they're also one of the most complex. So in order to get the most out of them, you're gonna wanna watch some of the basics of how to use them in these videos, but also you're gonna wanna spend some time just playing around with them yourself to see how they fit into your life. So without further ado, let's jump in. So you can kind of think of the Superlink like a super stud link. And the two design changes that we made are these double tall connection points and this extra wide pass through. And basically the abilities that this gives the Superlink and the Infinity Tool is super strength and just more options to get creative with your Infinity tools. Here's how you do that. So to show you how to fully use the Superlink for multi-wrapping, what you're gonna do first is link two Infinity tools together. And you could link as many together as you needed. This is all about the number of times that you're gonna be able to wrap it to increase the strength. So now you have these linked together, then you're going to put in the Superlink. Pro tip is to actually have the Superlink studs facing the opposite direction of the StudLink studs, because once you cinch it through, then they'll be pointed in the same direction. So these are what we're going to be cinching together. And what you can see here is I'm gonna put this around, and just like you'd cinch a normal Infinity tool, you're gonna put this through. And as you can tell, because of the wider pass through, the StudLink is able to come straight through, and you're able to just cinch right through. Cinch tight. All right, and so now, what's special about this is we have now cinched it and it's holding this together, but now we wanna add strength. And the way that we're gonna add strength is going to be continue to wrap this tail. And the reason we're gonna be able to make use of this is because we have two extra studs still sticking out on the Superlink here. And so now that this is cinched, I'm going to wrap in this direction, not backwards like this, but in this direction, and go over the top, and I'm gonna clip right onto this. And so now we've wrapped it twice and we've created redundancy. If one of these were to break, the other would still hold on. But then we can continue to wrap even more. I'm gonna go for 2 more wraps. And then clip that off right there. And so now we've wrapped this Infinity Tool around these 4 times. And so that's 70 times 4, 280 pounds worth of pull strength right here. And if I gotta have Justin come in and help pull this, we're just gonna give it a really strong pull, a little bit this way maybe, watch the, there we go, 1, 2, 3. So to show redundancy, I'm actually going to take one of these off to show if this one had broken, for example. We now still have 2 wraps, 1, 2, 3. So as you can tell, it stretches more, but it's still secure. And you can have up to 3x redundancy because you have 2 extra studs to link onto up top. And so that's how you multi-wrap with a Superlink. This is really important if you're strapping down anything larger or anything that's just super important to you. And the other thing to know is that if you are strapping larger items and you don't want them moving around, you're going to want to cinch to a smaller length. And what I mean by this is if you have a big bulky item, you don't want to necessarily go all the way around it if you can help it. If there are little tabs on the sides that you can strap down and only do smaller cinches, there's going to be less stretching and it's going to be more secure. So that's how you multi-wrap with the Superlink. So one of the other things that the Superlink solves is for tying off loose ends. And so with a standard Infinity tool, when you cinch it around an item like that, you have this tail right here. And maybe you don't want that flailing around because you don't like the way it looks, but also maybe it's creating a hazard. With the Superlink, because we've got these 2 extra connection points right here, we can actually just fold this right back on itself and make that a much more streamlined setup. And so that's another way that the Superlink gives you more optionality when you're setting up your Infinity tools. So another way you can use a Superlink is to double up for double strength. And what I mean by this is simply adding a second layer. And so now with these 2 layers, you obviously doubled your strength, and then you can come around and pop these right both on. And now you have a double strength infinity tool right there. You could cinch it still if you want to. It's really up to you. That's just another way to use it. And then another way you can get creative with the StackStud connection points is you could have 2 loops on it, for instance, where you fold it right back on itself. And same on the other side, like this. And so now you've got 2 separate connection points, and maybe that's better if you're holding two sets of items and you want to let one off. You can also cinch on both sides. So you could put this through the center here and then cinch in this direction, clip it off. And you can do the same with the black right there. Cinch down, clip off. Tons of ways to get creative with it. The Superlink is really open to your interpretation, and we can't wait to see what you do with it. So another thing you can do with Superlink is to have a more permanent connection and an easier attach and detach connection all in one. And so what you can do to create that, to create the more permanent connection, you cinch it around one item, like so. So now that is attached on there pretty well. And if you have an item that you're going to be taking off and putting back pretty regularly, what you can do is now just loop this right around, and you can clip that right onto the top there. And so you have this connection point, easy release, easy put back when you need it. So another way to use the Superlink. And really, this just shows that there are so many different ways that you could put this to use. Like I said, it is probably the most complex stud that we've created, but it does open up so much functionality. So you really want to spend time with it, see the different ways you might want to use it and how it fits into your life, and then you can get the most out of it.